I will, at the end of this lecture, I will use the material which I have taught so far, units 1, 2, 3. Now, as regards to structured students, if you identify sometime uh, Monday, not Monday, Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, these 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday morning, if you give me 2 hour slots, then during those 2 days, I can finish unit 1 and unit 2 also. So 2 to 4, maybe if it is required next week also we can take. So now structures representative CR, respond. Actually, you should know what is the basic difference between PhD thesis and master's thesis. In fact, strictly speaking, there is no difference between PhD thesis or master's thesis writing part. The only thing is the number of work chapters will vary with respect to PhD and master's degrees. In the case of PhD degree, there will be more number of work chapters, whereas in the case of master's, it will be normally limited to maximum 2 to 3. Whereas in PhD, it will be more than 3 chapters. Minimum 4 or 5 work chapters will be there, from which you will draw conclusions and make your document or thesis. But basically, the work involved, it opens a new area, both, and then provides a unifying framework. And both PhD as well as they resolve a long-standing question. The only thing is the relative depth to which we study will be different. Then thoroughly explores a new area, and sometimes it contradicts existing knowledge also. And it produces, it validates whatever outcome you have proposed or whatever outcome you have come out. It will be validated experimentally, or if you have considered an existing field data or field process system, so it can be verified with the help of a mathematical modeling also. Like, for example, the river flow modeling or the pile behavior, or a structure's maybe its stresses developed or something like that. You can make a mathematical model, dynamics of a multi-storied structure under seismic loadings like that, or wind loads. So you can develop a mathematical model also, and then you can validate. So that is the work normally involved. So it produces an ambitious system. I should not have used that word ambitious. It should be more careful. It should be a realistic one, and provides empirical data. Empirical data means a data which is collected in the first hand by yourself or generated by yourself. And it derives some superior algorithms also. That means you can suggest a procedure for solving a problem, or you can suggest a new methodology for solving a problem, or you can suggest a new tool. The tool may be an equipment, or the tool may be a mathematical model, or the tool may be a simulation. So something like that, it will be developed in the case of either PhD or master's level. And sometimes it may produce negative result also. That means if the hypothesis is not properly selected, if the research design is not correctly done, it may give negative results also. Now, normally you come across with lot of doubts about the topic to be selected. Normally it happens all the time. So what you have to do in this particular regard is that the interest of the researcher is all more important. So you should identify your area of interest, and then you delineate the topic or delineate the subject from the overall study area or overall the knowledge content. If you are structures, you may identify, say for example, reliability study or corrosion studies or vibrations, or if you are a soil mechanics person, you can identify the pore pressures in the soil with the help of some mathematical modeling or experimental measurements, or the pressure bulb developed, or the pile loads or pile design methods. Similarly, for hydraulics, there are empty number of problems like river modeling, rainfall runoff modeling, sediment distribution, sediment studies, and then flood studies, and then dam break studies, and water management studies. All these things, there are all so many problems. So, but you have to finally identify your area of interest, and then you proceed in that direction. Your interest is more important. So what is a thesis? Thesis is a document describing the project work carried out as a part of partial fulfillment. Nowadays, almost all universities and institutions, they are awarding these degrees, either PhD or MTech, only after, when once the candidate completes a dissertation or a thesis, which is a partial fulfillment. That means you will have a coursework. In addition to that, you will have the dissertation. In earlier times, there used to be only research for the award of the PhD degree. So, and in some institutions like Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, it used to be ME degree used to be awarded by research. So there will be a nominal 1 or 2 courses, and then the major contribution or major expectation is through your research project. But nowadays, almost that is ruled out, and even in the case of PhD also, almost all the institutions and all over the world, they are insisting on a coursework also. So thesis describes the complete process of the project, starting from the problem formulation to the solution and conclusions. So your thesis document is nothing but a narration of all your works, or all your attitudes, or all your tasks that you have performed, starting from the identification of the problem, and then planning the problem, planning how to tackle the problem, identifying the methods and tools to be used for generation of data, or tools or methods used for analysis of the data and drawing the inferences, and then discussing and finally arriving at conclusion. So you describe in your thesis document, whether it is PhD or MTech, all your efforts carried out in this direction, starting from the problem formulation, identification and formulation to the ultimate conclusions. But all these things you do in a systematic manner, not a haphazard manner. So there will be a process or a stepwise methodology or stepwise procedure to be followed while documenting your outcome also, documenting your efforts also. So this is the further explanation of what a thesis is. A themed written argument. Why it is said an argument? Because in many times there will be pros and cons. You will be taking a particular statement, or you will be taking a particular result you have observed, or you have observed some system of behavior. So you discuss on it, why it has come like that, why it is behaving, what are the inputs and what is the output, what is the basic relationship between the input and output. Is there a functional relationship? Is it a linear or a polynomial or something like that? So you argue on your input as well as the output. So exposition of original research in context. So you will expose yourself to the public, to the audience, about the context in which you have initiated your original research. And culmination of an apprenticeship. Culmination means the end part. Suppose you have gone somewhere and you have taken some data and you have conducted some experiments, or you have conducted some mathematical modeling or simulation model, and then finally you come to a conclusion. So that concluding part is what is called as a culmination. So normally at undergraduate level, you do the internship. In also MTech, you also do internship. So the same word also can be used for your apprenticeship also. Possibly, it will be the largest work that the students do. See, in case of your normal coursework, there will be a regular teacher, regular instructor, and there will be a material, a resource material, and the instructor or the teacher or the professor introduces the topic to you, and then explains, and some teachers do it in a spoon-feeding manner, and some other do it in a partly motivation type. So, whereas in the case of this thesis work or the project work which you do, you yourself have to do a lot of work. Only the basic idea or the starting or the initial point will be suggested by your supervisor, or you yourself select by studying or by considering the literature that is available. But the major part you have to do by yourself. You have to plan, you have to design, you have to conduct, and then you have to discuss and come out with conclusions. So the role of supervisor is only, as the name itself indicates, supervise or guide. He doesn't do any work. You have to do the work. So that is why it is possibly largest work that students do. Something that could be published, or you might have already published. Because when once you do certain work in the direction of a research, as a part of the research, that means you are solving a new problem. So you are solving a new problem means naturally the solution is not to the general professional or industry. So they are unaware of the solution for a particular problem. So what you do is you make it available for all those who are interested in that particular area by writing a paper, by publishing a paper, either in a international journal or a national journal or a international conference or some conferences. Mostly this is the level, first international journal, then national, like that. So you will publish it. So when you publish it, more people will be going through it, understanding, and they will take a tag from your work, and sometimes they will proceed further. So that is the thesis. A thesis is an original contribution to knowledge. Because as I told, you will be solving a new problem, or you will be solving an existing problem. That means you are providing a new solution. So that doesn't exist. So therefore you are contributing something which is your own thing. It's an original one, your idea, your effort. So an advisor or reader who goes through your thesis will expect that you have identified a worthwhile problem. That is the first thing. See, whether you have really identified an interesting problem or a worthwhile problem or a question which has not been previously answered. See, if it is previously answered, then there is no point of newness. So it is not called as a research. Then you have solved the problem or answered the question. Here I have not given, but following a systematic method or a scientific or well acceptable method. See, whatever work you do, you cannot say that I have done this thing, that thing, and I got the result. You should be able to explain which procedure you have followed, and also convince the reader who reads the thesis document that particular work has been done in accordance with the existing scientific methods. So it is not a cooked up result or cooked up analysis. So therefore, that is the expectation any reader or anyone makes. A thesis is an attempt to persuade a reader or reviewer who will be asking, what is the research question? So therefore, when you write your report, see, in fact, what you have done is acceptable, but others should know. So, what is the research question you have taken up? Is it a good question? Has it been answered before? Suppose if it has been answered before, then why you are attempting this again? You must tell. That means there may be something that is a gap in the earlier attempts. So, you may take an already worked problem and then work it out again and show that your result or your output is more close to the realistic situation. So that is how the research can be also is accepted. Is it a useful question to work on? Did the author convince me that the question was adequately answered? Has the author made an adequate contribution to the knowledge? So these are all the answers the reader or the supervisor or the examiner wishes to know. What is the significance of the thesis? While carrying out the project, the investigators get an opportunity to work on technical problem and bring out the solution by following scientific and technical methods. So, while you do this, you will be coming across with various new techniques of problem solving. See, an existing methodology may be modified. So, you by your own effort, you will be able to generate and you will be able to understand how a particular problem can be solved by slightly modifying the earlier methods or earlier procedures. So that the opportunity you will get it. Then during this phase, the investigators put all their learning and apply the theoretical knowledge and analytical skills gained during the course to derive the solutions. So this same, it reflects whatever works you have done. So whatever thing you have learned and whatever techniques you have applied and whatever theoretical knowledge you have gained either by study and verification or generation of your results. So your skills, analytical skills you have gained, that becomes more significant. It involves a systematic approach to document the proceedings of project and gives a thorough training for the candidate to re-look at the presentation skills. It is a proud document. Yes, it is a proud document because when you have done a good work and when you write it, people will go through it and then they will appreciate it. So it will prove, it gives you an opportunity to prove your ability or capability to analyze the problem and solve the problem. Theses are often considered to be the testimonials for the candidates who aspire for a good job or higher education. See, normally when you go to the interviews, see, I have observed many people not bringing their project reports, BTech project report or MTech report or MTech thesis or PhD thesis whenever they attend an interview. So, but that should be actually an advantageous thing if you attend the interview and as per the job, when you produce a document, so you can in fact deviate the interviewer and bring him to your level or your knowledge area so that you can create an interest in him, and when he asks you something to explain, you will be in an advantageous position because you have done the work and you know the ins and outs of the work. So that is the advantage of taking the document and presenting it before the interview board. So master's thesis, now here we are just coming to the what level of work is expected in a master's thesis. Master's thesis is just one step below the PhD thesis in terms of originality and contribution. So whatever you do, the depth only differs. Otherwise, there is no difference between an MTech thesis and a PhD thesis. However, finding solution to the original engineering problem using scientific and technical methods would be sufficient for master's level. So here, the basic difference is explained here. See, you will be finding a solution to the existing problem, but what you do is you take the help of the existing scientific methods or scientific tools, and then you solve the problem. Whereas in PhD, it is expected that the candidates not only select a problem which is having a certain depth, and you generate a new idea or a new methodology by which your problem is solved. So there may be an existing methodology, but that existing methodology has to be modified or changed depending upon your situation. So that is the basic difference between a master's level of work and PhD level of work. Although new invention in the work is not expected, the originality in the solution and the solution procedure is very much sought. So that is the master's thesis expectation. Then students often get a doubt. Sir, how many pages it should be there? How many chapters should be there? So like that, they get the doubts. Currently, 1 minute. Fan. Just 1 minute. So normally a master's thesis is expected. It is only an expectation. It is not a hard and fast rule. 60 to 80 pages. See, some theses will be within 40 pages also, which all depends upon the level of work and then the new thing, whatever you have identified. It is not a hard rule. A too small thesis represents inadequacy of the work content. A too big thesis also reflects the inability of the candidate to write a concise report. See, suppose you do not have much work. That means when you identify your research problem, as I told in the very beginning, in the objectives identification, and then converting the objectives into a number of tasks. If the tasks are not too many, but if your thesis is too large, it indicates that you have failed to present your work in a concise manner. So you should be able to write your report in a concise manner. Then, of course, there are so many differences between the various fields of specialization. But basically, we can distinguish the thesis with respect to the professionals and social science studies problems. So we can say experimental science. That experimental need not be a work carried on an equipment. It can be a mathematical work also, not model development or simulation. So, but they are all called as clubbed together and referred as experimental. So thesis writing often late in candidature, because First of all, you have to wait for the not only identification of a problem, which is a real problem, either for the industry or for the profession, and then you have to understand the problem, and then you have to understand what data is to be generated and how that data is to be implemented or used in a system, and how you get the output, and how you interpret the relationship between the input and output through the system's behavior. So it all takes a little bit more time. Therefore, your thesis writing cannot be started unless otherwise you complete all the planned work. So thesis writing often late in candidature. Hypothesis formulated to test the theory, and aims and goals address the hypothesis. So this aims, goals, objectives, tasks, they're all done in a systematic manner. Whereas if you come to the social sciences, they can describe the situation, the case study that is existing. And that means they can right away go ahead with writing the thesis from the day almost they have understood the problem. And they can easily formulate the research questions. And the data generation only will be coming in a later stage. So compared to social sciences, the experimental or professional dissertations and theses will take a little more time. So the nature of study, it can be a correlational, or it can be a case study, it can be a phenomenological study, or a Delphi study, or experimental, or it can be epistemology, that is the criteria for knowledge. How you will answer research questions and solve your problem all depends upon the nature of study. Correlation, I have already explained what is meant by correlational study, correlational research. Case study, that means you take a case and then you develop it. Delphi means what? Delphi is nothing but it is an approach where you take into consideration the knowledge that is available through certain experts, and that information will be transformed into a system's behavioral equation, or that means you generate certain indices or a relationship between a dependent variable and a set of independent variables. And for those set of independent variables, you assign certain weightages, and that weightages depend upon the recommendations given by the experts in the field. So that is what is called as a Delphi study. Experimental, you know what it is. Then coming to how to write the thesis. The content can be divided into background, methods, results, and conclusions. In methods, results, these are the two important parts. Background should be explained, should contain an introduction and the motivation and how you have formulated your research problem or research design hypothesis. So that all can be categorized as a background content. Then methods and results are the actual data collection, data analysis, data interpretation. So these three things will come in the methods and results. And finally, after you make certain interpretation and draw some inferences, and the important points or important inferences are listed out in the conclusions part. So you should take care of the format, the typeface, spacing, figures, and the style, that is language, logic, and efficiency. So these things, the format and style, basically the format will be recommended by the institute which is offering you the degree. Style, there is a standard language. IEEE standards are there. I have already given you the related research paper writing material. And for thesis, I will anyhow be explaining. So planning, do it today, yes, now. Timing, estimate and double or triple it. So you should first of all estimate what is the possible time your work will take, and then have a buffer time. You double it. Then editing is to be done, and finally finish the product. Now, this is very, very important. Structure of the thesis, whether it is PhD thesis or MTech thesis or even your BTech project, what is known as a Bellman's rule of three. What is that Bellman's rule of three? See, the Bellman's rule of three is whatever you do, whatever you write, you have to repeat it thrice. So within the thesis, first of all, you will write it in the introduction chapter, and you write it in the main chapters, and also in the conclusion chapter. So in introduction chapter, what you will say, this particular problem is identified, standard methods are considered, like you can briefly say what methods you have taken. Then what you say is, these are the results that are expected, and the outcome is in this form. So there you will give a picture of what work you have taken, what methods you have used, and what results you have expected, and what conclusions you expect. Then in the main part, again you will say, as per the introduction or as per whatever already has been mentioned, this thing has been done, this task has been executed, and then these are the results. So also you will explain. Then when you come to the conclusions part, then you say that the problem was taken like this, and then a particular tool and method was applied, and the results are like this. So there also you will explain. Then when you come to the each chapter, again you have to repeat everything thrice. Because for the chapter also, there will be an introduction, and there will be a body and a concluding section. That concluding section need not be conclusions. Many times people will not write it as a conclusion at the end of each chapter. But majority prefer to write conclusions in each work chapter also. In fact, I do prefer that way. So in the introduction of the chapter, you will say that we will show or we will have conducted something, and in the body you show them what you have done, and finally in conclusion you will say, yes, we have done and we have shown this. So in the chapter also you will have to do that way. Then coming to each paragraph, then each paragraph, it should note an idea, and it should link to the previous idea, and in the body of the paragraph you describe the idea, and at the end of paragraph you conclude. So the chapter concludes the idea and links to the next. Similarly, the first paragraph links to the previous chapter in any chapter, and then the middle part of the first paragraph tells what is the content of this particular chapter. It need not be one paragraph, it can be in a couple of paragraphs also. And then in the last paragraph or last part, you will say that this is the outcome, and in the next chapter or in the next task that has been taken up, considers this particular thing. So like that, you have to build a continuity between chapters and within sections, between sections within a chapter and within sections in sections of individual chapters. So like that, there should be a three-pronged linking between each chapter, each section, and each subsection and paragraphs. Then, when I say that it should be written 3 times, it is not. It should not be a cut and paste thing. It is not a repetition. You have to link the theme and maintain a rationale, and then you have to integrate it. Now, this is a generic structure of a thesis. Introduction, or whatever it is, theme. So there you should spell out, why am I doing this? Then literature review. What is known? What is unknown? Then aims. What do I, or what did I hope to find out? Then methodology. How was it found? Or how am I going to find? That you should know first. Results. What did I find? Discussion. What does it mean? You have got some result. I have got this thing. And what does it mean? So you have to link to the physical situation, the field observation, or the natural behavior. And then conclusion. What is the significance? What are the applications? Where to next? So once you have concluded, then what? You should give a recommendation if possible. Now, coming to the format of the thesis. So it should contain a cover page, a certificate page, acknowledgements, table of contents, list of tables, list of figures, nomenclature or abbreviations you have used, and then your abstract. Sometimes it is called as abstract or executive summary or synopsis. Okay. So, introductory chapters. So you can divide all these things which I have mentioned here. One minute. Chapters are normally the introduction, paper publication. In the case of thesis, it is normally called as a synopsis or a thesis, executive summary. Now, when to write this abstract? See, as I told, the abstract should contain the entire information which you have compiled in your thesis. So that means unless you complete your thesis, you cannot write your abstract. So you have to write it only at the end, but it appears in the beginning. Like you plan a building, so start from the top, designing from the top floor and come to the bottom floor. But while constructing, you first start with the excavation, foundation, and then go up to the last floor. So it is the reverse order. So in the same way, your abstract is the last one after you completing all the work. Abstract should be 1-2 pages and should be self-contained. How to do it? You go through, you refer any paper or any thesis in your field and make an idea. Written to attract readers to your article or thesis gives a good initial impression. If abstract is good, that is the reason why normally in many of the conferences, your paper will be accepted based on the worth of your abstract. If your abstract is good, then they will be tempted to accept your paper. So abstract preparation, abstract writing is very, very important. It should reflect the entire thing, and at the same time it should be concise and as brief as possible. Summary of contents of the thesis. brief but contains sufficient detail, motivation, objectives, techniques employed, main results and conclusions. You are left nothing. Whatever will be in the thesis whole document are again shown here, because in thesis you will write motivation, and in thesis you write your objectives, and in the main thesis document you will write the techniques employed, and in your main thesis you discuss about your results and draw conclusions. Here also do an entire thing, but in a very, very concise manner. So this is the suggested format. Here, all these things are only suggestions. There may be guidelines, but not mandatory aspects. It all varies from the individual's idea or the institutional requirement or the body which accepts that particular paper or document or whatever it is. So, title and name of the author, information. Then introduction, methods, results, and conclusions. There are 4 important things, 4 points while writing the abstract. This is very, very important. First C is complete. That means it covers the major parts of the project or your case or your thesis. And it should be concise. That means it contains nothing excess or nothing less. And it should be clear, readable, well organized, and not too jargon laden. You are not writing any poetic or an artistic work. It is only an information which is required for the understanding of the general public or industry professional people. So it must be written in simpler terms, simpler words. So readable, well organized, and without any jargons. Cohesive. It flows smoothly between the parts. You cannot jump in between. There must be a continuity maintained. That continuance of continuity is same in your thesis also. 1 minute. 5 minutes. See, while you are writing the abstract, you must consider 4 sentences. Whether it is, any part of the abstract. So the first states the problem. The second states why the problem is a problem. The third is my startling of sentence. That means how you have attacked the problem. And the fourth states the implementation and implication of your work. So, or what you are going to present. It is not work, whatever theme or whatever idea you are going to present at any place, in any part of your abstract. It should be, you have to try to do it through minimum 4 sentences. The first states the problem or the theme or idea, and then the second, why the problem is a problem or why this particular idea is an idea considered by you, and then this idea how I have solved, or this how I am going to present, and then this is what I have done, this is what I am going to present, this is what is being presented. So like that, it should be done in a 4-level manner. Now, overview of chapters. See, earlier I have given some outlining, level 2, but most accepted, some proposals include a sentence. 1 minute. Okay. So, description of each chapter. That means chapter 2, literature review. Chapter 3, discuss methodology. Some other proposals include more in-depth review. Actually, 1 minute. Yes. So how you write your each chapter? Don't start with the introduction or conclusion. See, this is a golden rule to be remembered. You never should write your introduction chapter or conclusion chapter to start with, because introduction chapter and similarly conclusion chapter, they summarize the entire work. So until unless you write all the chapters, in between chapters, you do not know what is the content in that. So if you start writing introduction chapter, sometimes your whole idea of dividing the work into chapters may change. Therefore, what you do is, first of all, you start with those things which are definitively can be presented in one group or in one chapter. So this is normally done task-wise. So you take the first task you have done. So then when you take the first task, you know why the task is taken. Then you know how the task can be solved because you have identified the methodology. And then you also know how you have solved the task or how you have attacked or attempted to work out that particular task. And you also know what result you have got. And you also know what the results represent. So that means if you take any particular task, you know the motivation of the task, the methodology of the task, the data involved in the task, the output of the task, and the result and inferences of the task. So all these 5 things you know, so therefore you are more comfortable to present that. So that is how you proceed by task wise. First, start the chapter that relates to your attempts carried out with respect to first task. Then go to the second task, like that. Then what you can do is, when once these are combined, then you can make your justification. In fact, literature review gives you that basic thing. So when once you do the literature review, what I suggest to my scholars is writing of literature review is very, very important. That should be, in fact, the first thing you have to do. Because when once you write that, your whole scope of the problem, definition of the problem, identification of the task, that will be done. So therefore, attempt to write the literature review part. In fact, after selecting the problem, the first and foremost thing to be done is literature review. And after doing the literature review, you draw the outer boundaries of your problem. That means scope. And then you define the exact problem. Then what happens is, there will not be any inconvenient situation when you are going to defend your work at a later date. You can always say, see, this is my scope. I did not go beyond this. Why I did not go beyond this? Maybe reasons. Maybe it is redundant or complicated or not having practical application or out of the present time scope or whatever it is. So like that, when once you carry out your literature review and identify the knowledge gaps and then identify the scope of the problem, define it and transfer it to tasks, then the subsequent things will become easy. So my suggestion is, you start with the literature review, identify the problem properly, scope as well as tasks, then start writing start carrying out your work. Then once you carry out your work, then the other things will be simple. So introduction to be written second to last. This is general introduction to what the thesis is all about. It is not just a description of the contents of each section. So briefly summarize the question. You will be stating the question in detail later. Some of the reasons why it is a worthwhile question, and perhaps give a brief overview of your main results. So this is to be written second to last. Last one is the conclusions. So chapter 1, that is the introduction, should provide the subject, purpose, merit of the case report or the work carried out. It's already 4:30. Let me see how many are there. First, you write a general information. But this chapter you are writing not in the beginning. After your completion of your work chapters, then you write this. So 1.0 general. Then 1.1, I have wrongly entered the numbers. So 1.2, the purpose. This is only again a guideline. It is not a mandatory thing. So like this you divide. So in introduction, state the question, background of the problem, describe similar work, outline the approach, describe the contents of the rest of the chapter. That means in section 2 what is there, in section 3 of this chapter what is there. So what is here? I mentioned background. So what is the background of the problem? Root of the problem. When did this begin? What are some seminal works addressing this situation? Bring up the present. That means you have to build up a history, chronological order in which the problem was first identified and subsequent attempts carried out by some people, and then why still the problem is a problem, even on the current date. Bring up to the present. So current original sources. A brief section giving background information may be necessary. Your readers may not have any experience with some of the material needed to follow your thesis. So you need to give it to them. So you have to prepare the reader to understand your work. So that can be done through your background information. A more informative title is usually better than a generalized title like some studies on. That is a vague title. When you use that some studies, that means you have not carried out all the aspects related to your problem. That means your problem definition is something having or something fishy or something not a total issue. So you can, on the other hand, you use a title like this: Regional Geology of North Coastal Andhra. See, this is only some study, definitely, because you are not considering all the coastal areas. You are not considering all other techniques. You have considered only regional geology of the North Coastal Andhra and a GIS-based study. So there are limitations. These are some studies only, but your title writing is different. If you say, for example, some studies on geology of coastal Andhra, or some studies on geology of certain areas or selected areas, so then it becomes a vague. Instead of that, even in your title also, you spell out your scope. A concise research question or problem statement. I think I have to stop here. Now, I'll stop here because I have some visitors. I'll pass on this to you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Is there any doubt so far what I have explained?
No, sir. No.